What is up, design family, and welcome back to another episode of Fittdesign TV. As always, so glad to have you lovely folks back on the channel. On today's episode, we'll be discussing the importance of graphic design in sportswear design. Thus far, we've explained the importance of fabrics, we've explained the importance of fit, of function, of trims, of detailing, but now we're going to discuss the importance of quality graphic design and how it can enhance your sportswear collections from start to finish. So we'll not only look at the ways that which we can incorporate graphic design as prints on the garments, but how we can actually use this graphic designer aesthetic to create all over pattern prints that can enhance the product, that can inform the functionality, and they can help you stand out in the market. What are the key elements that we have in our toolbox as designers to incorporate from the world of that graphic design to have a more diverse collection, as well as how can we use these graphic designs in ways that inform our customers about what we're about, what we stand for, and what makes us unique in the market. So if you've been interested in how to use graphic design to give your next sportswear or fashion collection the edge, watch this episode. You guys are in for a good one. Welcome to Fittdesign TV. Are you interested in sports fashion, design, and manufacturing? Are you establishing your own brand? You're looking good. Anthony, how are we doing? Do you want to? Thank you. Well, you've come to the right place. Lights, camera, action. I want to start off this episode and want to kick it off the right way by looking at examples or precedents of existing sportswear brands in the market and how they've effectively used graphic concepts in their products and in their collections in order to further their brand cause. A great example of this, and one that will immediately come to mind, is Nike's Just Do It branding, slogan, and collection. The Just Do It motto is a way to serve Nike's ethos of pushing and striving for bigger and better things, but they've also taken that ethos and they've created a loud, bold, brash branding in a variety of different scenarios in order to actually brand their clothing. That way, they have a part of that ethos in every single product that they sell with that branding on it. Another great example is going to be Puma's collaboration across the board with great quality artists. Obviously, you have the Fenty collection, which is a collaboration with Puma and Rihanna, and you have a ton of other great quality designers, such as quote-unquote Bradley Theodore, that brought in very loud, vibrant, bold color tone, color palette, and just overall design aesthetic that was very different from what Puma is typically doing. Puma is typically seen as a more low-profile brand, but with and through collaborations with different artists, different graphic designers, they're able to bring in a unique touch to some of their collections that breathes life into the core brand. And that's just one of many ways that brands can enhance their visibility in the market by incorporating graphic prints, all over designs, unique packaging assets, so on and so forth. And the last great example of this is going to be Adidas. Adidas is particularly well known because of its three-stripe logo, but they took that a step further in their trefoil logo, which is a variation of that logo. It's one that you've seen before. You've seen it particularly on their Adidas originals, and that is kind of in keeping in line with their core traditional three-stripe logo, taking the three leaves concept, creating or incorporating that three-stripe logo into it and still retaining the core essence of the brand, but giving it something slightly different. Great example of this as well in the modern day market is Alfleet. Alfleet has its traditional core wordmark logo, and recently they incorporated their global, their globe logo, which is a combination of their learn more, dream more, be more ethos, or their learn more, dream more, be more values incorporated into the Alfleet core wordmark to just give a little bit more brand depth. You can kind of see how most of these brands have what is known as their core branding, and through graphic design, they're able to enhance and they're able to create more depth in their visuals, in how they stand out and how they tell their story without straying too far from their branding. Graphic design gives you the opportunity to play around with more things, to have more tools in your palette box to tell a more interesting and intriguing story that you can accurately paint your brand as what you want to position it as. So what role does graphic design ultimately play in sportswear? It's a two-pronged approach. The first one is pure branding and aesthetics. Through the role of these graphic prints that we see, these large screen prints, digital prints, heat transfer prints on the front, on the backs, on the sleeves, you're able to tell a little bit more of your story. At the same time, we've seen this with larger brands like Bape, where they create their own customized all over pattern prints. We've seen the Bape Ape and how it's been incorporated into that unique camel print that's been done in a variety of different colorways. It's been done in the boldest colorways in the market to allow the garments to stand out. But without the Bape pattern print, or without that shark print that you see across the Bape front hoodie, it would just be another hoodie. So these unique pattern prints are a way to breathe life into the garments, to give you something unique to stand out. Do not underestimate the power of quality graphic design, with addition to great quality construction, great fabric selection, great silhouettes, so on and so forth. At the same time, the alternate purpose is to serve the functionality of the garment. Not only is it a way to create something unique that can turn heads, but also we can incorporate different materials into our graphic prints. We can incorporate different sort of graphics that tell you a little bit more about the garment, whether it's through creating lines of compression that allow you to draw out the silhouette, that allow you to taper in the body, to enhance the look and feel of the physique. Or you're able to bring in different mixed materials such as 3M reflective holographic prints into your graphic prints in order to allow more visibility for the garment. All of these things are available to you. Don't look at a graphic design as just simply adding a logo on a garment. You can tell a story, you can add functionality, you can stand out in the market. You can make of graphic design whatever you want through the context of fashion. Next up, what are some tips for actually creating impactful sportswear graphic prints? The first is to understand your core market. I use the example of Bape, and Bape always brings a punch with all of their visuals. They know their target market well. They know their market is going to respond to loud, vibrant designs that are very out there, on the opposite spectrum of minimalistic. So they bring in loud colors, contrast, prints with a lot of funkiness, things that are different, organic shapes into their graphic prints and into their all-over pattern prints. On the flip side, if you tend to have a more mature market like Lululemon, if you're going to bring in a graphic print in order to create something different, well then you might draw inspiration from nature, you might draw inspiration from the world around us to create pattern prints that, though are unique, are still subtle enough to be worn by your target customer. So always make sure to know who the end user is and to create accordingly. It's also important to always be keen on balancing functionality with aesthetics. The last thing that I want you to see, or I want you to do, is to create for the sake of creating. Loud graphic prints can come off as tacky if they don't have a rhyme or reason attached to them. Know what you're trying to achieve with that specific graphic print. If the goal is to tell a little bit of the story of your brand, what we tend to see is brands launching collections in what are known as chapters, and each chapter represents a part of the story that a brand is trying to tell. And as the brand progresses, these chapters are also undoubtedly able to progress as we go along. Each graphic print that you bring out will be a part of that story. So there's a core functionality in that print. It's not a print simply for the sake of a print. If your print is intended to give you some information about the product, a good example of this is our Spectre Origin collection. We wanted to go for a minimalist technical aesthetic with a Japanese influence. But through our use of technical prints, we're able to give information about the products and information about our brands. We use 3M reflective prints in key areas on the branding in order to let the product stand out, but also give it some high visibility in low light conditions. This is all an example of how we use our graphic prints to our advantage, but still keeping them on brand and conscious of who the customer that's going to wear our clothing is going to be. Last but not least, when creating impactful graphic designs, is stay up to date, know what the market is requiring, and be sensitive to the current demands of the market. Sure, always try to plot a path ahead and create something that's unique, but it's important also to be relevant. Good quality manufacturing and good quality graphic design goes hand in hand. Just because you have a great product, but if it's branded poorly or it doesn't make sense for the time of season that you're in, well, then there's going to be a disconnect and your customers are going to feel that. A great website to always stay ahead and keep up with fashion trends is going to be wgsn.com, and it gives you a variety of different trend reports that allows you to see where customers are being drawn towards and what the market in 2024 and 2025 is going to require of designers and of brands. But guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. To recap quickly, always make sure to use graphic prints effectively, whether it's a printed graphic that's on the front or the back of a t-shirt, or it's an all-over graphic print, or it can even be something as simple as a packaging item such as a product sleeve or a hang tag attached to your garment. You use graphic prints to tell parts of your story, to allow you to stand out and to add functionality where possible. Make sure to stay ahead of the game. Make sure to always be relevant in terms of what season you're operating in, when your collections are dropping, and what the global mood is like at that specific time. If you guys want my personal advice on how you can bring in quality graphic design to help you stand out, to help you tell your story, and ultimately to help you get a foothold in the market, well, check the link in the description. I offer paid one-on-one consultation calls with limited slots every single week, and I'd be more than happy to hop on a call with you guys. From the very bottom of my heart, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Fit Design TV. Until next week's episode, stay awesome.